Hi everyone, it's Jim Hegemier again of Leslie Wells Realty in Tampa Bay, Florida, also known as just Jim the Realtor. And I have to tell you, I'm excited about today's presentation. Of course, we have our long-term friend and associate Donna Wilcox with us for her insight and experience in the marketplace, but we're also going to have an opportunity to talk to real estate attorney Paul Blucher from the Blucher Law Offices in Lakewood Ranch. And he's going to talk to us today about our options and working with our lenders on our existing mortgages. So, things just keep getting better and bigger around here. And as usual, I'm not the person you want to talk to regarding legal or financial advice. But I know people, and after all, that's my best advice to you, is to surround yourself with the right people. You can't go wrong much. By the way, we've been speaking also with mortgage lenders, accountants, and home inspectors about coming on to this broadcast, so we're going to hook you up. We're going to be getting the real scoop from the industry insiders right here on So How's Real Estate. So be sure and log in every month at about this time. Well, guess what happened? Yeah, I ran into a situation again the other day where I was showing a prospective buyer a property where the seller would only take cash, or he would gladly do a seller financing contract, but he would not accept conventional FHA, VA, or USDA financing. Well, my buyer was already pre-qualified with a prominent mortgage company here locally, but the seller insisted on that he would do the in-house financing at competitive rates for a fairly long term. And I think it was 10 years at maybe 3 or 4% interest. And as he'd indicated that he was intending to use this financing paper as collateral to fund his retirement. Well, to be honest, his logic lost me, but even more so, I couldn't concentrate on what he was trying to say due to all the distraction of the red flags, bells, and buzzers, whistles going off in my head. Occasionally Donna and I get inquiries from buyers that are looking for a home where the seller will hold the financing. And I get this. This is due usually to some credit issues or the buyer had some derogatory history. And these days, with all that we've been going through, I get that. But these seller financing deals need to be dealt with using extreme caution. And I'm not saying that they're all bad, just 90% of them. So anyway, the terms sounded reasonable, but as an investor, who does that? I mean, there are probably better investments out there. Why wouldn't he just rent it where he could get a better return on his money? And the seller didn't see the need for the appraisal. He was willing for the loan the full amount on the property without any determination for the actual market value of the home. He was simply trying to make it easier for my buyer, so he said, and he thought that the buyer would go for it, that as it saved the appraisal fee and the buyer could get into the home, by the end of the week without all that appraisal hassle and just have it done in short order. Now, had we taken the seller's advice, my buyer would have been instantly upside down in a house. And furthermore, he didn't seem that anxious for a home inspection either. He had remodeled most of the home himself. The AC, the roof, the appliances, plumbing, electrical, they were all new, as well as most of the doors and windows had been upgraded. And he assured us that the home didn't need anything. Yeah, well, maybe. And it did look nice. And it so happens I went to the tax records and saw permits for most of the improvements, so maybe it was done right. I don't know. But nevertheless, we're professionals, and I'm representing the buyer, and I'm not feeling the warm and fuzzies about no home inspection. So we stood our ground. Well, at the last minute, the seller squashed the deal. He confessed to us at the 11th hour that there was black mold present in the home. I didn't notice it. My buyer didn't notice it. I would have thought that something that you'd smell, it turns out not necessarily so. But I'm thinking our home inspector would have noticed it, though, right? And I guess it could have been remediated with the guys in the white biohazard suits. I mean, if you throw enough money at it, you can fix anything, right? Well, that explains that when we were talking to the neighbor, she was telling us that the previous tenants skipped town and moved out in the middle of the night. According to the neighbor, they really put it to this homeowner, who in this case was also the mortgage holder. And the truth is, they probably couldn't breathe from being so sick all the time. They didn't have a choice but to pack it in. There's another chapter to this story, and I'll share it at another time, or maybe I'll save it for the book. But right now, yeah, that's right. See, you already know. You guys catch on quick. That's what I like about you. It's time for Let's Ask Donna Wilcox. Hey, Donna, how are you?
It's going great. I'm on my way down to a seminar for the international market, Daytona, Florida. I'm carrying the side of a telephone of Pat Baker, who is one of our co-agents as well.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm missing some kind of a road trip with you and Miss Baker. Well, thanks for letting us call, and we'll be very brief. Hey, Donna Wilcox, what is going on with the inventory these days? I mean, there are so few houses that are actively for sale in the surrounding communities. A year ago, there were dozens. What changed, and how does that affect the market? What does that mean to you and I as homeowners? Please and thank you.
Well, that's a really, really good question, Jim Hegemier, and I'll be as brief as possible. Back in the day, in the middle part of the 200s, we had a terrible, terrible market situation. People were losing their homes. They couldn't pay their mortgages. The banks were going rampant. Florida received a really bad reputation, as well as a lot of other states, And the reason that things are turning, Jim, is that Florida is probably the finest place to live, and we have the best housing at the most reasonable prices, and as well as the mortgage interest rates. Oh my gosh, Jim, have you looked lately? The conventional is 3.14 for 30 years.
Right on.
And we have these awesome federal government programs that your clients, my clients, and anyone listening needs to give us a call, and I'm sure you'll give them a phone number at the end of this, and we'll be able to explain a little bit more about these fantastic programs. But we have the buyer's back, Jim, and if anyone is listening as well, just even thinking of listing their home, they can get what they're looking for now. Overnight, it went from a buyer market to a seller's market, where market values are improving. We've seen a 10% improvement just in the last 2 years, and now we're just going full steam ahead.
How about that? Funny how that wheel keeps on cycling, doesn't it?
It does, and we're on the upside of that wheel, and I encourage anyone that's listening to give you and I a call so we can get their home listed, get it sold in a very brief period of time.
There you go.
I appreciate you calling me, Jim.
Donna, thanks for your time. I know that you're driving down the road. We don't want to interrupt you, but listen, be safe and bring back some good information for us, will you?
We sure will, and Jim, best luck to you today.
Thanks, Donna. Have a good one. Bye-bye now. Ladies and gentlemen,
Bye-bye.
Donna Wilcox. Well, right now, Donna and I are very fortunate to have on the line attorney Paul Blucher with the Blucher Law Group here in Lakewood Ranch, Florida. What an honor, Paul. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Jim.
Good. Hey, Attorney Blucher, Donna and I believe that the objective to negotiating with the seller's lender is to perform either a short sale or a deed in lieu or something like that the seller can achieve as much forgiveness as possible on the mortgage note. Now, we also know that each situation is different, but what has been the most successful for you and your clients, a short sale or a deed in lieu?
Short sales work the best.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, there are three basic options in which to avoid a foreclosure and a bankruptcy. Of course, if there is a foreclosure sale, there has to be a bankruptcy because all banks will pursue the borrower for a deficiency judgment. And bankruptcy will be the only way out of it unless you can do something else. So the three options that you have before a foreclosure occurs would be a mortgage modification, a short sale, or a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Now, a mortgage modification can work out, and we've had some success with that, but it's very, very limited, and most of the time the banks just don't seem to want to do them. A short sale, we have the greatest success, as I said, with those, probably somewhere between 85 and 90% success rate. And I think that's because the banks are most used to those, and it's a quicker process and clears their books faster. And the third process, which is a deed in lieu of foreclosure, first of all, you have to try and get a short sale accomplished before you even apply for a deed in lieu. So again, a short short sale seems to work out better. But if you can't get a short sale done, then deed in lieu of foreclosure is another option to be considered. Now, with the idea with any of these things is that you want the borrower to be in a position where it's going to be successful for them. Not only do they get it accomplished, but also it's something that's affordable. With a mortgage modification, that's generally going to be a problem. With a short sale, the idea is going to be to sell the property so that they no longer have a debt and the mortgage maintenance, but also complete debt forgiveness. If not complete debt forgiveness, then at least work out something with the lender so that when the closing occurs, the borrower's done. They may have to put some money into it, usually not. Usually we can get them complete debt forgiveness and they're finished with everything. But if not, you resolve the whole issue so that it's not going to come back again with a deficiency issue or anything like that. That's where some people make a mistake. Some people don't finish a short sale, and I mean have all the issues taken care of so that it's no longer an issue. If you're not doing that, then you lose the whole purpose of doing a short sale to begin with. Mm-hmm. And the way to do a short sale correctly is, first of all, I want to sit down and I want to talk to the people about assets. I want to talk to them about their situation and make sure that short sale is going to work out best for them. But also make sure that we're going to have a successful negotiation. And there may be some things that we're going to need to accomplish with the borrower in advance of beginning the short sale negotiation process. And then you get all the financials together, and you get the information together, and of course, you're working with a good realtor who understands the process as well, and they've marketed the property, and we get a contract, and we submit it all, and then the negotiation process with the lender begins. And normally, a short sale is going to take, well, we've done them as quickly as a couple of weeks, but most of the time it's going to be 60, 90 days, maybe 120 days, start to finish to get everything accomplished. Mm-hmm. And then, we'll make sure that we have all the paperwork necessary to close it out correctly. We go over all of that with the borrower and make sure they're okay with everything before we tell anyone that there's an approval. If the borrower, the homeowner, is okay with everything, then we've got an approval and we proceed to a closing and we have everything done at the closing, so there's no further issues to be resolved. And it can work out. It's a little bit of a hiccup on the credit report, but it's far better than a foreclosure and far better than a bankruptcy. And it's curable, meaning that in a couple of years or 3 years, their credit's going to be back up to where it was before. A deed in lieu of foreclosure, part of the problem is that's still a foreclosure, and it's still going to take a fairly significant hit on their credit. And like I said, you have to try and get a short sale done before you do a deed in lieu of foreclosure. But a deed in lieu of foreclosure hopefully will accomplish the same thing, giving back the property to the bank in exchange for complete forgiveness of any remaining deficiency. But it doesn't always work out that way, and the success rate on a deed in lieu is not nearly as high as a short sale.
Paul, thank you for all this information, and that is some valuable stuff, and I'm sure there's tons more. This is huge, Can we have you back on the show at another time? Would you come back?
I'd love to. I mean, it's always a pleasure working with you and Donna. You're very good at what you do, and it's a pleasure working with you. And I enjoy working with, whether it's commercial borrowers or residential borrowers or investors, helping them through this process, and I'd be delighted to work with any of them.
Well, again, we appreciate you, and we look forward to the long-lasting relationship, Paul. Listen, have a great day. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Jim. Okay. You too.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that is attorney Paul Blucher from Blucher Law Group here in Lakewood Ranch. If you'd like to contact Mr. Blucher, his email is PAB. I guess that's Paul A. Blucher. PAB at FifthAmendment.com. That's FIFTH Amendment.com. PAB at FifthAmendment.com. Paul Blucher. Thanks, Paul. We appreciate you coming on today. Man, how time flies. I want to thank attorney Paul Blucher. Thank you, Donna Wilcox. Thank you, Pastor Bob, for the hot guitar licks. Sorry, Leslie Wells, we ran out of time. Maybe next month on So How's Real Estate.